Have you ever noticed how life, the universe, tend to test you right before you fully shift your reality, right before you really transform? Life throws you those little tests here and there. Have you ever wondered why is this and what can you really do about it? Well, the question here is that those tests, those challenges, those little issues or problems that tend to appear in your manifestation creation journey, they appear for a particular reason. It's not because the universe or life or God is bad or evil and is taking pleasure to mess with you, but it's just to see who are you going to be. Are you going to go back to the old way, the victim mentality, the blame, the anger, the sadness, the fear, the anxiety? Are you going to go back into that old way, thinking, feeling, responding, reacting the old way? Or are you going to stay grounded in the person that you've been creating, becoming, and affirm that it doesn't matter what's happening, this is who I am? And so when you have that crossroad, you have that transformation moment, invitation from the universe to truly cement who you want to be in your life. And when you choose to remain there, to approach that situation, that challenge, that test, with new thoughts, with a new attitude, with a new feeling, and with new behaviors and decisions, you are communicating, demonstrating to life, to the universe, this is who I am. And then life is like, boom, there we go. He or she is ready for more. And this is usually when people start to boom, skyrocket, quantum leap, their reality truly shift, and then a lot of things happen just like a domino effect. But if you start to waver, if you start to doubt, if you start to overreact again, and you start to blame, and you start to feel bad, and you start to feel sad, and you start to feel defeated, then you go back into the old ways. And when you go back into the old ways, you are communicating to life, to the universe, I'm not ready yet. I am still attached to some degree to who I used to be, to my anger, to my thoughts, to my old beliefs, to my old projections. So you cannot serve two masters at the same time. You have to choose, you have to decide, you have to remain unwavering, you have to remain strong and courageous enough to realize that I am the creator of my reality. And you have to remain aware enough that what I choose to focus on, the decision I choose to have, the thought I choose to have, how I choose to perceive and go about this situation is up to me. Because if you choose to react with like, oh my God, this is happening again, and life, that victim story, you lose all the leverage that you've been building up all to that point. I'm gonna give you some example. Maybe you wanted to start manifesting more money, and you've been, visualizing, doing those affirmations, all those things, but creating abundance in your life. And you do. You make $500, something happens, I don't know, you start getting some of that money. Now, you might not see that as a test, but here's the test. What are you going to do with the money? Are you going to celebrate that money, use it, circulate it, use it constructively in whichever way is perfect for you? Or are you going to take that money and be like, where's the next money going to come from? What if I spend that money and then it doesn't come back? What if, right, you go back into the old scarcity, doubt, hoarding ways of related to money the way you had it earlier? And you stop affirming, and you stop visualizing, and you stop being grateful for abundance, and you slip back into who you used to be, and boom, you've lost the leverage, right? So test doesn't simply mean, it's a negative, challenging problem way that appeared in your life, right? It can be, you got something, but who are you going to be after receiving that thing? Because really, beyond those $500, whatever it was, like there's so much more behind. But are you ready? Are you going to remain anchored in the abundance mentality when it's time to give, when it's time to circulate, when it's time to make those new decisions as the abundant being that you've been affirming you are? Are you going to do it? Are you going to have the courage enough? Or are you going to hold back and think that this is finite, there is no more after that? Yeah. So there you have it. Always, the choice is always in your hands, right? Am I gonna take this road or the old road? Maybe you've been wanting to really attract a loving, intimate, warm, safe relationship, right? And in the past, maybe you've been, having challenges in a relationship, having toxic relationship, maybe even abusive, or it just didn't work out. And you've been visualizing, you've been doing all that inner work, and you met someone, and it's going well, and then all of a sudden you start to have those inevitable little friction, tension, little fights happening, little argument, little things, and then you're like, see, it's happening again. I can't trust them. They're always doing that. See, now you go back into the old way of being the victim, of projecting your past insecurities on your partner and responding and putting, that distance, that emotional detachment, or that blame, whatever it may be. You're responding in the old ways, and so your perception is clouded by the programs that are still from the past. Or are you remaining present in a loving, compassionate way, solving those challenges, communicating in a new way, being in a new way, being that partner that is contributing to a loving, healthy relationship? Another test. Who are you being? Say it as a declaration. This is who I am. And unfortunately, the main pitfall is the blame, is the automatic projection that I am not the problem. The problem around me is the problem, right? So it's that little thing that happened, all of those things is the problem. The perceived lack, the perceived things put me back into my old way of thinking, being, feeling, deciding, choosing, living. And we have so much experience behind that, that if you're not trained, if you're not disciplined, if you haven't released of certain emotional triggers and belief, before you even notice, you're back into the old way. And so again, you are allowed, the universe is forever forgiving, compassionate. So even if you go back for a moment and you're like, oh, this is the thought of the past, I'm being fearful again, I'm being judgmental again, and you catch yourself, and then you go back into the new way, now you're still winning. As long as you catch yourself fast enough and you go back into the new way, you're still winning the test, because you're still in control enough to consciously choose to step out of what's been happening and to step into the new way. So it's not just like, oh, I gotta always be there and never make a mistake and always be perfect. We are allowed to respond however we want. The question is that if you overreact, how long are you gonna stay there? Are you gonna keep wallowing? Are you gonna keep letting this run your life like you did in the past? Or are you gonna notice it and be like, this is no longer who I want to be. Let me reframe my thoughts, my feelings. Let me choose differently. Let me have the courage to trust and have faith, and then go back into the new ways. This is really what those little tests are for in your life, to serve you as a trampoline to anchor that reality that you want for good. And when you do that, you will notice in your own life. And actually, if you look back at your life, you already have experiences, because we have all passed so many of those tests successfully. Those moments when we decided enough is enough, I am never going back there. And then boom, 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 many things started to spiral and fall into place. We all have those experiences. So if you've done it before, you can do it again. Just be aware, be present, and know that those tests are not against you, but for you. Let me know what you think down in this comment, guys. As always, thank you for watching. If you love this type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button to help me grow this beautiful channel and community. I'll see you next time. Be well.